Hello everyone, how are you today? I hope you are having a lovely day. My name is Aga Grandowicz and I'm a wildlife artist. And what it means, I draw and paint animals and sometimes a bit of plants as well, but I prefer drawing animals. And I use these illustrations in books. So maybe you have heard about this book, Dr. Hibernica Finch's compelling compendium of Irish animals. So I made illustrations, all the drawings to this book, okay? So that's a few examples, and at the moment I'm waiting for my new book to be printed, so hopefully in a few days you will see it around. So today we'll draw a very special bumblebee, which is called Great Yellow Bumblebee. It's one of the Irish endangered bumblebee species. What it means is it's very difficult to spot one because there's so few of them. So what I will do, I'll use a Google search to find a few images, and I'll pick the one that I think will be the best for us to draw. You will need pencils, color pencils. So I'm using here watercolor pencils, and I will show you soon what nice effects you can achieve with them. Of course you will need watercolor paper, so I have this big block here, but you can use any size you have. Okay, so watercolor paper, what it looks like, it's a bit, I'm not sure if you can see it here very well, it has a nice texture, okay, and it's very good for painting with watercolors because it's quite thick, so it doesn't warp too soon, and it basically soaks water very well. Okay, so like that. Now you need watercolors. Of course, I have a set here with trays, which are very convenient because it's easy to mix the paints on these trays. But you can just use a plate, or some plastic plate or normal plate, not a paper one, to mix your paints. And because the watercolor of course need a lot of water, so I have a cup here which I will fill with water in a moment. And brushes, I forgot about brushes. So I have a few brushes here which I use most often. So the thing to remember about watercolor brushes is they have to be very soft. Okay, so like imagine touching a rabbit, so they have to be as soft as that. So I have a few different sizes here. This one is for like backgrounds for larger surfaces, same with here, and the smaller ones are for smaller details or just smaller drawings, smaller paintings. Okay, so I will get everything ready and I will see you in a moment. Okay, so I'm ready to start working on our bumblebee. So I need to mix a few colors. I will start because the great yellow bumblebee, as you can guess, it's quite yellow. So what we'll need is mostly the yellow paint. So you take some color and add a lot of water. That's the way you paint with watercolors. Okay, don't worry, it looks like a caterpillar now. It's still the first stage. Okay, now I used a color that's a bit too strong, but I can still just mix it with the water I have here already. Okay, and now I'll show you something cool. Remember the watercolor pencils I had? So I'm going to use them now. I take a few. And I will draw the bee's shape just over that. And you can see it kind of dissolves nicely. It's a very nice feeling, so you definitely have to try that. You will not get the same effect with standard color pencils. Watercolor pencils behave a bit differently. Okay, so that's our head marked here. This is the first part of the bee's body, and the wing will start more or less here. This I could also start before using the paints, okay? But I just wanted to show you this done after the paint is on the paper. So just to get this nice dissolving effect. You can even use your finger to blur it a bit. Okay, but for now we just focus on making sure it's all in proportion, more or less. It doesn't need to be super precise because it's this artwork is not for educational purpose. Like, no, it doesn't have to be anatomically correct. It's just painting for pleasure. Okay, so it's kind of a sketchy painting. Okay, so this will be an antenna one, and let's say 2 here. There's a leg which starts here. The leg will be black, but at the moment I'm just using one color pencil for everything. Okay, so it's one, the other one goes here. Okay, this will be also dark. Okay, I'm taking a brush now and I will add some black elements to our bee. Okay, I'm just mixing it with water. So first I tend to paint a very bright, very delicate layer of the color, and only after I'm happy with the result I keep adding more and more color. So it just gives me a better control of the artwork. Now this bee has its tongue out because it will be sitting on the flower. Usually I draw in a very precise way, as you can see in my books, but I like way more, kind of sketchy drawings. Maybe because they are so much more difficult to master. Contrary to what most people think. Okay. So these are the darker parts of the bee. So this dark hair is mostly at the bottom here. So like the top of the bumblebee is all yellow. Okay, as you can see, I'm adding more black to the legs and to the head. Now if you make a mistake, you just use some water to dissolve it. So it's like, kind of a bit like instead of using a rubber, you just dissolve the mistake with water and then wait for this to dry and paint over again. Okay, I'll let it, that's what I have dry, and I will add a flower underneath. So great yellow bumblebees, they love nectar from the red clover. The red clover is less and less common in Ireland, so is the great yellow bumblebee, because the two are quite connected. So if you see the red clover, which is pink by the way, if you see it in your garden, just try to keep it, don't remove it. and that may benefit not only this bumblebee but many others. Now I will show you something very cool, and you will need for that a standard kitchen salt, very fine salt, so not super grainy but really fine like that, okay? And you just, when the paint is wet, you sprinkle a bit on top. When it's dry, you see a very nice effect. So basically the water, the paint will be escaping from the areas around the grains. Okay, now it doesn't need to be very detailed. Remember, it's just our sketch here, sketchy artwork. And just keep adding more stronger color. Okay, now you can add a bit of background if you want. So I'm adding some green just to show you that it's all happening on a lovely meadow. Okay, and now I will come back to our bee. What I will do now, I will switch to the small brush, and I will take some. Now I need to rotate this. Okay, it's a bit tight here. My setup is very tight because I have a tripod with the camera above me, so it's not that easy to maneuver, but we'll manage. And I'm just working on refining the top part, the fur, getting a better shading. Now the wing, which is in the background, doesn't need to be well defined, so now just leave it like that. Oh, you can see already that that salt we used already has some nice, gave some nice effect here. I can spend literally hours adding little bits. because the paper soaks water very well. So then you, every now and then you see something that can be improved. Also the legs, which were quite black, now they are more grey, so I need to add a bit more paint. Okay, now the great yellow bumblebee, as I mentioned before, is one of the critically endangered animal species in Ireland. It emerges from hibernation quite late, much later than the other bumblebees. So it's in May or even June. So maybe actually now, this time of the year, we can see the first ones emerging. So because bumblebees, they hibernate for winter, so that means they just fall asleep for a very long time. And there's a reason why they actually sleep so long. It's because the red clover, it flowers in May, starts flowering in May and June. So if the bumblebees woke up a bit earlier, they would be just, too hungry. Okay, I will switch my brush. That was enough for this. And I will just keep working on the yellow here. Okay, there's a thing worth remembering. These bumblebees have a black stripe going on top, in the top part of the body, so it goes all across. It still looks very unrefined, but we'll get there. Okay, now I am adding more black to the legs, but just not everywhere, because remember there's some shading, there's some light, there's the pollen on the legs. Now here I'll paint the hairs, even though some of them are more white than black, but it's okay. Now I can really see clearly this salt effect. So you can play just with that, take a piece of paper, paint a few stripes of different color paint and just add some salt. Okay, now when the wing is dry, I'll add a few sharp lines so they won't blur, they won't dissolve in water. If you ever see this bumblebee on the meadow, in your garden, wherever, try to send your sighting. Try to mention on the website of there's a web biodiversity data center, and they have an app actually as well to submit your recordings. So that will be very beneficial because then people who work on species conservation, then they'll have a better idea of how many species we have. So sometimes, when I see something unusual, an unusual animal, I will post my sighting on that website. Now I'm going to use the pencils again. Okay, the pencil gives a strong color, so that should stay in. Okay, and now I will add a bit more pink here, like darker pink, so that will work as the shaded area, so like underneath the bumblebee's body. Add some green strokes in the background, so that could represent some grasses or leaves of other plants. Okay, not too much, just a bit. Okay. Now I'll show you a little booklet which I've got from the National Biodiversity Data Center. So it's a booklet which will help you to identify different bees. So they have a few photos, just a few photos, and then very simple illustrations. So there's no even wings, so they look a bit funny, but it's just to show you how the stripes look like. So we look for the great yellow bumblebee, so that will be in the yellow section here. Okay, so as you can see, it has full, the body is yellow, but just has this black stripe on the top, so that will be our area here. I just need to make it a bit darker. Okay, and I think that's it. We can know there's lots of things that could be refined here, but because it's just a sketch, our easy, simple artwork, I think we can leave it like that. Okay, so that's it. Thank you so much for participating in this workshop. I hope you have created some lovely bumblebee art, and if you would like, ask your parents to post the images, the photos of this artwork online with a hashtag #GalwayBoost, and then I'll make sure to have a look and comment on that. Okay, thank you so much and enjoy the rest of the day. Bye bye. I hope that one day we'll meet in during a live workshop. That would be way better. Thanks, Emilia. Bye bye.